is an illustrated summary of the news. It'll be followed by the latest film of events and happenings at home and abroad.
There seem to be a number of variations on the warning, be careful what you ask for, you might get it. Like most cliches, it has an element of truth in it that allows us to forgive its use, if not its overuse. As a number of my videos will testify, one common stick I use to beat followers of organised religion is their failure to criticise the wrongdoings of those institutions and the wrongdoings of their clergy. Well, it looks like I should have been a little bit more specific. Now, the guy whose final wish to the genie is that his dick should be long enough to touch the floor, and then promptly has the genie whip out a sword and chop his legs off, I too have been granted my wish. It seems that there are members of the Anglican Church in Canada, in fact Christians of all denominations in Canada, who are up in arms over the conduct of a member of the Anglican clergy. I put a link to the story in the description box. What egregious misdeed has prompted this outcry, I hear you ask? Why are Christians of all denominations so outraged? Well, you might think that perhaps people be criticising certain church denominations for their institutionalised oppression of women, or perhaps the demonisation and condemnation of homosexuality that leads directly to discrimination and violence against gay people, all too often at their own hands in situations where young people feel so isolated and worthless that they can't go on living. Or maybe the historical persecution, torture and slaughter of members of other religions or people who dare to question whether a particular set of superstitions is the truth. Or modern-day condemnation by churches in Africa of children as witches. Or perhaps the preaching against contraception in areas where poverty and overpopulation mean that people can't manage to support the families they have now, never mind increasing the burden with more mouths to feed. Or the lies about the effectiveness of condoms in stopping the spread of HIV. Or the systematic covering up of child rape and torture in Christian institutions. Or the interference of the church in politics, often hampering human rights legislation. Or the evident indifference to world poverty whilst the churches accumulate vast wealth. Or teaching children that the earth is only a few thousand years old, and threatening them with the prospect of torture in hell, as if it's a real place, if they don't obey the rules and hand over their cash. And I could go on, but what they're screaming about is none of the things that I would have put on my extremely lengthy list of stuff that needs to be addressed. Because it seems that these people have their fingers firmly on the pulse, and they know what their priorities are. And I quote, shocking deed committed by Reverend Marguerite Rea of St. Peter's Anglican Church in Toronto, the outrageous act that caused so many Christians of all denominations to rise up in condemnation, is that she gave a dog a little piece of biscuit.